Good day, guys. So, if I am to start studying physics in secondary school all over again, this is my simple strategy I'm going to use. I know a lot of you would not be able to analyze it like this because you need to study the entire physics before you can be able to know that okay, this one you need to study this one first for you to understand it. So, this my strategy is going to guide you on how you're going to study it so that you can easily understand every topic in it. So, for the first thing you're going to need to do, you have to start with the mechanics. Mechanics, I categorize mechanics as the first one because that's the foundation. It will introduce you to basic idea of physics like force, mass, units, measurements, and to help you think mathematically and logically. Like it will, show you calculations to introduce you to the algebra part of physics. It would introduce you to the calculus part of physics. Every category here uses the concept from these mechanics. So that's why you need to understand this first, so you can be able to understand the rest. You're talking about something like speed, velocity, acceleration, Newton laws, work, energy, power, and the rest. So after you've studied and understand mechanics, you now move to what? You move to heat. Now, heat is also called thermodynamics. Now, you will talk about thermodynamics under heat. So you move to it. This is where we start building on our ideas that we've gotten from motion here. But now we'll be building on that idea on the microscopic level because heat is actually basically the motion of particles. So you have to put everything you understand here inside the here when you're trying to understand what the motion of particle is. And you'll be talking about something like temperature, talking about something like gas laws, talking about something like expansion and the rest. So after you've understood heat and thermodynamics, and for you to understand heat and thermodynamics, you need to understand mechanics. Then you move to what? You move to wave and optics. Now, optics here is light. Wave is, we're talking about sound wave and the rest. Now, the reason why I put wave first is because for you to understand deeply what optics is, you need to start with basic principle of wave. Now, for you to understand wave, you need to understand heat, you need to understand mechanics. And let me explain. Now, you see, when we start talking about, when we start studying wave and optics, then you now start seeing that physics is everywhere. You start understanding that almost everything that is around you deals with physics and the rest. So here we'll be talking about sound, talking about light, talking about communication, talking about vision, how human being eyes work, talking about lenses and various instruments and the rest. We'd also learn that wave is actually a form of motion. About oscillation motion, or should I say oscillatory motion. That's when we're talking about um, the wave type of motion, which is oscillatory motion. And it will talk about heat transfer. Now we will put that idea of heat transfer in this wave and optics because there's also a transfer of energy when you're dealing with wave and optics. So the idea you've gotten from heat transfer, you put it in that transfer of energy in wave and optics. So that's why you need to understand heat and mechanics before you can fully understand wave and optics. After you've understood these three, you've understood wave and optics, you move to studying what electricity and magnetism. Now these two go hand in hand because you can use magnetism to get electricity, and you can use electricity to get magnetism. You understand that when we get there. Now, you see, the reason why I said you need to understand these three before you can understand deeply electricity and magnetism, because mostly everything we will talk about in electricity and magnetism is mostly imaginary. Like most of the ideas here, you need to imagine them for you to easily understand it. And the only way you can easily imagine them is when you understand these three. Now, yes, this topic is one of the most practical topic in physics, but many of the concepts in it is based on how powerful your imagination can be. So in this place, we'll be talking about something like current, voltage, resistance, circuits, magnetism. We'll be dealing with idea we've gotten from mechanism, that is the force we've gotten from mechanism, we'll put it into here. And then also the idea we've gotten from heat, that is energy transfer, we'll put it into here. The idea we've gotten from wave, that is like signals and electromagnetic wave, we'll put it also here. Now, after you've understood electricity and magnetism fully, you move finally to modern physics. Now, modern physics is the highest level, I call it the highest level of physics. Now, this modern physics is, I would say, is purely imaginative, like imaginary. It's purely imaginary because we'll be talking of something like atoms, nuclei, quantum ideas, and the rest. Now, before you can be able to imagine everything here, you need to understand this four. So, before you can be able to use, okay, now I can imagine this, I can imagine the structure of helium, the structure of nitrogen, and the rest. Now, here we're talking about atomic structure, we're talking about radioactivity, we're talking about photoelectric effects, and the rest. So, I am in this modern physics. Now, it's combined everything, every idea, every understanding that you've gotten, every knowledge you've gotten from these four mechanics, heat, wave, and optics, electricity, and magnetics, combines everything to help you understand this modern physics. Now, let me explain how. Now, you see, this mechanics will help you understand particle behavior here. We are talking about how atoms interact, how the electrons and the protons and the neutrons, how the neutron and the proton forms the nuclei and everything. Making to tell you about their behavior, their interaction, the forces and everything. Now, the heat is going to tell you everything about their energy interaction. You know, they will tell you that in an atom there is a weak energy there and there's a strong energy there, you know, electrostatic and everything. I don't want to start telling you those. You will get there. You understand it. You understand it when we get there. Now, the idea we've gotten from wave, we use it to explain wave particle duality. Now that one you understand it when you get it. It's not actually that difficult. But if you understand wave and optics very well, you easily understand what wave particle duality is talking about. Now the understanding or the knowledge we've gotten from electricity and magnetism, we're going to use to explain electron movements here because electricity mainly is actually the flow of electrons. So the movement of electrons and everything, this modern physics breaks it down to the microscopic level and explain it deeply why electron is moving, how they are moving, how you can slow them down, stuff like that, how you can increase their speed and everything. Modern physics breaks everything down. So if you follow this simple strategy, you would not have any issue with physics. So you first of all understand mechanics, then you understand thermodynamics, then you understand wave and optics, then you understand like now it might take you time, yes, but if you start now, you'll be able to understand it very easily. You know, they say that the best time for you to start was yesterday. The new best time for you to start is now. So if you start with this, instead of you following your textbook that is mixing everything down into themselves, just understand mechanics, then move straight to thermodynamics and everything. So in this channel, I'm actually going to be explaining concepts of everything. I'll be starting with mechanics. When I'm done with mechanics, I'll move to thermodynamics, like that, until I get to modern physics. So if you want to join us in this process, you can actually follow us. You know, you can subscribe, like, share, and comment. So see you in the next video. Bye.